Welcome to the Dairy News and Views podcast, a production of the Iowa State University Extension and Outreach Dairy Team. Our podcast covers current educational, research, and industry tools available for your operation to manage healthy cows and calves while producing the highest quality dairy products. Thanks for joining us today on Dairy News and Views from the ISU Dairy Team. I'm Jen Bentley, Northeast Iowa Dairy Field Specialist, and today I'm here with my Extension Dairy Team colleagues, Gail Carpenter, our State Extension Dairy Specialist, our Extension Veterinarian, Dr. Phil Jardin, and Fred Hall, our Northwest Iowa Dairy Field Specialist, as we talk about today's topic. So welcome back to the podcast, team.
Always
Glad
a
to be
pleasure.
here.
Thank you, Jen.
I wish we were talking about something more fun, but it's always good to be on the podcast.
Right. So we've been kind of tracking this evolving situation with highly pathogenic avian influenza the last few months. And in the recent month, we know that it's entered into Iowa and we've had cases show up. And so we just recently found we have a state order for dairy exhibitions in the state of Iowa that was announced on June 25th, 2024 here. And so we just wanted to have a recap, a discussion of what that order states and get some resources out to our industry and people that are going to be exhibiting so they know where they can go to get more questions answered and get more resources. So Dr. Jardin, I'd like you to kick it off here and just, provide us a background on highly pathogenic avian influenza and what the current status is here in Iowa.
Well, for a few months now, we've known that it's been affecting dairy cattle, mostly in the southern United States, but it has spread to some of the northern states, and unfortunately, Iowa is now one of those states. The poultry industry has been dealing with this for years, but it's new to the dairy industry. So here in Iowa, the first animals that were affected with it this year were actually a turkey flock and a laying hen flock. And then since then, some dairies close to that area have been diagnosed with it. And then about a month ago or so, Dr. Kaizen put an order on, maybe just a couple of weeks ago, an order that their dairy herds within 12.5 miles of a poultry flock that's been affected had to have their bulk plant tested. So since that's happened, we found this in, I think it's up to around 13 dairies in Iowa, all in the very northwest corner, at least so far.
So, Dr. Jardin, there were three main points that were made on the recent order about limiting movement and exposure. Can you just walk us through those real quick?
Yes. So any dairy cattle that originate from a high path infected herd are prohibited from exhibition. So if an animal is coming from one of the herds that's been affected, they cannot show this year. And then animals have to have a veterinary certificate of inspection, a CVI, and that has to be done within 7 days of the show. So if it's 8 or 9 days before the show, it's too early. You have to have it just before the show happens. And then premises from which the dairy cattle are intended to exhibit must comply with some testing rules that are in the document that the state vet provided us. And I'll just summarize it. They have to have a negative bulk tank to be tested from the milk that's being sold for human consumption. And then there has to be representation of the animals from the hospital pen. And then of course, any animal that is going to be shown has to be tested. That's maybe a little oversimplification. There's some more details in the document that the state vet sent out.
To help clarify that, any lactating animal has to in fact have a negative milk test.
That is correct. The non-lactating animals do not have to be tested individually. They just have to come from premises that are known to be not infected.
And the way that we know those premises are not infected is through bulk tank testing. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And there's been some question about the test. It's a PCR test, and the test is actually a very good test. I know there's some people questioning the validity of the test, but it has good sensitivity and specificity, which means it's good at finding the ones, animals that are affected and not having a lot of false positives. Now, right at the beginning of an outbreak or when a herd gets it, the numbers might be kind of low. But then the what they call the CT scores, as the number actually gets lower, even though the virus is getting higher because of the way the math on it works. It might start at 38, and we're not quite sure if it's positive. But if the herd's positive, it'll be higher within very short order. The test is a very good test.
Let's reiterate that a heifer going to a show, in addition to the CVI, also has to have a company negative bulk tank plus negative tests from the representative sick or hospital pens, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
So if I'm a dairy producer and I'm my kids are going to be sending their animals to the 4-H show here in the next few weeks, what should I be doing to start getting that test lined up?
We'll contact your local veterinarian, because they will have to have a veterinary inspection certificate. Plan to have the herd tested within 7 days of the fair. And keep in mind that, there's weekends and there's holidays and things. So plan around that, so you get the samples in and get the results back when you need them. The turnaround in the lab is fairly quick, but of course it does take time, and the mill takes a day or so to get there. So be thinking about that.
Now, the order, in addition to responsibility for the exhibitors, also has a requirement for the fair itself. And that's to have a biosecurity plan in place that outlines what they have to do to keep exhibitors and animals safe. Correct?
That is correct. And Fred, thanks for lining up Dr. Beckett Weddle to provide a webinar on that next Monday, of what a biosecurity plan at a fair would look like.
And I think that'll provide a lot of good guidelines for fairs to consider in regards to biosecurity, and help them make a path that's right for their fair and their exhibitors. So Dr. Jardin, I know there's a lot of specific questions that are coming from exhibitors, from producers, and what's the best way that they should handle those questions?
So there's a lot of kind of unique situations that come up, like an animal not originating from a dairy and those kind of things. And I think those one-off questions should be directed to Dr. Kaizand. And he's offered his cell phone number to people that have questions, so we can put that in the chat there. You can email him or put it or call him, and if with those specific situations that are maybe one-off and a little bit unusual.
Yeah, I want to congratulate our state veterinary office. They've been really working hard on this, and we appreciate all the efforts that they've been putting in. So Dr. Kaizand will be a fantastic resource. One of the other things that I think a lot of people are concerned about is the cost of this testing, and obviously it's going to be something a little bit out of the norm, but there is potential for folks to apply for reimbursement or funding or some such from the USDA. So there is opportunity to get some of those costs covered, but it's important to note that you do actually have to apply for those. You can't, it won't be automatically covered unless you fill out the application. So one of us in Dairy Extension or the state veterinary's office would be able to help answer questions with that.
Yeah, but just to clarify there, the USDA is paying for the tests. The tests are free, but
right.
the time and effort paying your veterinarian to get the samples taken and collected and analyzed, that you can apply for reimbursement for that.
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
I also would say, our local and county veterinarians are also working closely with Dr. Kaizand, and I just put a shout out just to be patient as you get questions, and and wait for those answers, because they're really trying to provide the right answer too. So, you know, some of these, this is all new for everybody, so we're all learning. And I think just to take into consideration that they're trying to make the best effort to provide the right answers too.
Yeah, very good point.
Ultimately, we really just want to keep we want to keep people safe. We want to keep cows safe. We want to keep this off enough dairies as we can. And I think our county folks, our county veterinarians, our state veterinarians, your local veterinarian, us on the extension team, all of the fair board folks that you'll work with, we all have your best interests at heart, and are trying to make this as painless as we possibly can while still keeping everybody safe.
Yeah, and I'll put the point in here too that this is a bad thing for the dairy industry to be happening, but it's even a worse thing for the poultry industry. I think the dairy producers need to be aware that what we do as a dairy industry affects our poultry neighbors, and it's a more devastating disease for them than it is for us. And I think we need to be do the right thing for them, not just for ourselves.
One of the other things whenever I talk about this, is I make sure that consumers understand that drinking pasteurized milk is safe. We've not found viable virus that can transmit disease in pasteurized milk or in meat that has been appropriately cooked. So, you know, the German communities, we got to quit eating cannibal sandwiches. But if we cook our meat and we drink pasteurized milk, our products are safe for the consumer.
Very good point, Fred.
Another question that people may want to know is, this order is in effect for a minimum of 60 days. But the other caveat is we have to have gone 60 days have passed without a confirmation of a new infection. So, you know, this is both poultry and dairy cattle.
Yes, that's right.
Just a question about like the bottle calves or something coming off the farm. It's not being raised currently on that dairy farm. Do you just want to address that timing issue that's not up to us making that decision? That's a local vet or the state veterinarian.
So one thing that might come up is a calf that was born on a dairy that may or may not be infected, and then it went to another place to be raised, and it might have been there for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. I think those one-off discussions should be addressed with your local veterinarian and with Dr. Kaizen to keep with the spirit of these rules and the purpose of them. I think it's best addressed through them.
Well, as we wrap up here, any last comments from the group?
And I just want to make a comment here that this is very extreme Northwest Iowa where this is happening, and I realize they're getting a double whammy here with the weather and the flooding and this avian influenza. And just want to let everybody up in the northwest corner that we're thinking about them and praying for them.
I think this really puts us into a position that we're painfully reminded how important biosecurity is. You know, we've got to watch who's coming on and off of our facilities and understand how diseases can be vectored. So we are having a webinar on the 25th of July that will focus on biosecurity for dairies. And I think this is really pertinent right now.
Yeah, so just as a reminder to our audience, you know, we do have a lot of resources, and if you can't catch everything that you've listened to here today, we just encourage you to visit our Extension Dairy Team website. We do have a page set up for HPAI there, so we keep all updated resources and any news releases kept current there, so you can check back there just to get the latest information. So if you want to go to www.extension.iastate.edu/dairy team/HPAI, you'll find those resources, or just Google our dairy team website and you'll be able to find it there as well. Well, thanks, Dairy Team, for joining today and kind of helping to address those questions. I know there's still a lot of questions out there, but as this continues to evolve, we'll try to keep our audience updated with the most current information. So again, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to visiting with you on the next Dairy News and Views from ISU.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jen.
This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or combination inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/diversity/ext.